The views and opinions in this program are not those of CISA 7 or Spectrum.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to board meeting for October 25th, 2021. The purpose of this meeting is a public hearing for the 21-22 budget. We'll begin the meeting with roll call. Beth, if you could help us with that, please.
Smith.
Here.
Becker.
Here.
McCoy.
Here.
Vanden Heuvel.
Here.
Leighton and Warren.
Here.
All right, we have 5 board members in attendance. Board member Welch and Warren are both excused tonight. All right, before we get to the open forum portion, we do have some recommended changes from the last presentation that we've seen. And so we will be joined by Angie Robley to go over some of those changes.
Thanks, Eric. Good evening. Josh, if you wouldn't mind projecting, thank you. Just the change analysis sheet. This was attached to the board agenda. So like we had discussed when I was before you October 11th, there were some changes and final numbers that came in from DPI on October 15th. Those big numbers or big number changes are state aid, equalized aid, and then also our voucher number. So I'm just going to run through the revenue changes first and then the expenditure changes. I think the most important thing to note is that the mill rate, which you will be voting on tonight, along with the adoption of the budget, the mill rate has not changed. So it stayed at 903, and that was what was proposed on October 11th. So if we just kind of run down the list, again, the property tax levy decreased slightly. And the reason why that comes down a little bit is because we ended up seeing a little bit more in equalized aid than what we had proposed on Monday, the 11th. So those two changes, along with our tuition open enrollment. So I had gotten some final numbers from central registration. I say final because a lot of things were still moving when we actually got those numbers into the budget before we went to print. So then generally what we do is we ask the person that we work with in central registration just to give us our updated OPEL numbers or the open enrollment numbers. So we also made changes to the open enrollment in and out as well to be reflected in the budget accurately. So slight change in the open enrollment coming in of about 54,000. And then the referendum approved debt levy. So that is our defeasance. We increased that slightly as well to keep that mill rate at 903. So then when we look at the expenditure changes, the big number that is always very, very tough to estimate is our private school voucher number. The reason I say that is because we don't get a lot of information from DPI on this number until October 15th. So as you can see, as presented on October 11th was that 9.2 million number, and it actually came in at 8.8. So we had to decrease that voucher expenditure by about 374,000. That payments to other Wisconsin districts, that's our open enrollment out. So that increased as well, about 344,000 from the number that we had presented on that Monday, or the preliminary, I guess, proposed number. This payments to independent charter schools, this is new for us. There was a new charter school that was opened in, I believe it's Howard Swamico, and we had 37 students that open enrolled out and chose to attend. We have to show this per DPI rules separately, treated the same as open enrollment kids going out to public public schools. It's just shown on a separate line item. So this was, again, new for us. So that's why you see a 0 in the presented budget, because we weren't aware of this until October 15th when we got the final revenue limit worksheet. So those 37 kids, that's the 340,000 increase in expenditures. So that we had to add into the budget this year, which we weren't aware of. And then the adjustment is to the construction contract, object 310 contracted services. And then again, the defeasance on the principal, which has to do with our referendum approved debt levy. So all in all, the revenue and expenditures adjustments were at that 1.7 or 1,751,000. And then the property tax levy changes are listed below, because we levy again for Fund 10, Fund 30, debt service, and then community service, which is Fund 80. So if you could just scroll down a little bit, Josh, thanks. So our general fund, again, just decreased slightly our taxes by 515,000. And then our levy for debt service increased by that 495,000. And then the Fund 80 stayed the same at our 2,764,368. So all in all, adjustments was 20,451 for taxes. And again, to note, our final taxation mill rate that will be voted on tonight is still and remains at $9.03 per thousand. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Angie on the changes? Go ahead, Andrew.
So we have to, the money we have to pay to the independent charter school.
Mm-hmm.
Does that independent charter school have to accept all students like we accept all students?
I'm not sure, Andrew. I don't know the rules surrounding that independent charter school. All I am aware of is that we do have to pay them for each student that attends, just like we do for all the other open enrollment students out.
Oh, of course. I thought, I'm sure I know the answer. I think it's widely known, but I respect if you're not 100% on all that, then sure, we can confirm that in the next meeting possibly.
We know that's definitely not the case with the voucher schools.
Of course, right. And yes, right.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? All right. Thanks, Angie. Thanks for all your work on this and the adjustments. We appreciate the update.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. We will go to the public forum, open forum portion. Beth, did we have anyone who registered online to speak on the budget?
We haven't received any registrations for phone calls. There is one statement that was submitted. It has been uploaded in the public content portion of the board docs.
Okay. And that was sent to us ahead of time as well. All right. If there are no other comments, I would look for a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, and that concludes our public hearing. We will shut down the Zoom for just a minute before reconvening to take action on the budget. All right, thank you, Josh. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special board meeting to vote on the 2020-21 budget. We just concluded our second public hearing on the budget. We've had multiple presentations from Angie and our finance team. The purpose of the meeting will be to take action on that, but first we will start with roll call. Beth, if you could help us with that, please.
Smith,
Here.
Becker,
Here.
McCoy,
Here.
Vanden Heuvel,
Here.
Leighton and Warren.
Here.
Board members Welch and Warren are both excused for the meeting tonight. One item on our agenda is to take action on the budget. Do I have a motion to approve? Go ahead, Laura.
I move that the 2021-2022 approved budget as modified be adopted. I'll second.
Is there any further discussion on the budget? All right, we'll do a voice vote on that. Beth, when you're ready.
McCoy,
Aye.
Leighton and Warren,
Aye.
Vanden Heuvel,
Aye.
Becker,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
All right, budget passes 5-0. With that, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, and that concludes our special board meeting. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
You have been watching the Green Bay Area Public School District's Board of Education meeting. Please visit the school district's website, www.gbaps.org, to view the program again. If you cannot fully access the information on this video, please let us know the accessibility issue you are having by calling 920-448-2025 or by email at communications@gbaps.org. We will try to provide the information to you in an alternative format and/or make the necessary improvements to make the information accessible.